Alrighty, well, we are finally here. The day has finally arrived. The Cleveland National Air Show. It is a favorite for many here in Northeast Ohio and, quite frankly, around the country. And we are absolutely elated to be here. I'm Chico Bormann, host of the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. We are live at Burke Lakefront Airport. This thing is about ready to get underway. It's going to be a lot noisier as the day goes along, but from a weather perspective, last year we had some rain and some horrible conditions. You can see behind me, it is absolutely gorgeous out here at Burke, and we're so glad that you could join us here, stream us live on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. Well, first and foremost, we're not messing around, folks. Right out of the gate, we're going to bring in one of the stars of the show today and all weekend for the Cleveland National Air Show, and Raz. So I've got to be careful here because there's the real name, there's the call sign.
Yep.
Take us through. I'll tell you what, before we talk about exactly what you're going to be doing and the machinery that you're going to be operating, take us through how you got into it, and then how does Raz become the call sign?
Absolutely. I got started wanting to do this job going to air shows as a youngster. So air shows are inherently patriotic and inspirational events, and so that's what we're out here this weekend to do, is inspire the next generation to pursue goals in their lives and maybe come join us in the skies. So I started out at the Air Force Academy. That's where I got my degree, and then went to pilot training after the Air Force Academy and was very fortunate to start flying F-22s right after pilot training. You get your call sign pretty early on as a young fighter pilot, usually on a deployment with your first squadron, and they're never good. They're never They're never cool names. They always have a meaning. A lot of them are acronyms. Mine's an acronym, so I have a lowercase a and then ZZ, and that actually stands for at Kadena, because ZZ is the tail flash on Kadena Air Base aircraft. So I was out in Japan, and then the R is a whole litany of different meanings. And so it's an acronym, and there's another pilot flying F-22s who's named Taz, and we got named at the same time, so we were Raz and Taz for a while.
That's actually a nice little combo. I mean, you
Yep.
like that, but unfortunately for you, at times, doesn't that become like a really tedious thing to explain to the average person? Like when you walk into an establishment, or you're
Yep.
and do you say, I'm Raz Larson? Do you go by the first name? How do you do that? Because you know they're going to ask you about Raz
Yep.
and the call sign.
You tend to go by the first name, except when we're out on the air show circuit or with our fighter pilot brethren out there. It's all call signs, so everyone kind of knows the inherent meaning or that there's a story behind it. But it's all cool ceremony, how you get your name, and it's a pretty awesome event for a young fighter pilot when you finally do get your call sign and basically get accepted into the squadron at that point.
We're talking to Raz Larson. He, of course, is going to be part of this great air show all weekend long. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour today. So if you're watching this live on our stream at Chico Show CLE on Twitter or on YouTube, you might want to make sure that you're here for this just after 1 o'clock. This young man's going to be flying the F-22. Before I get to that and everything that piece of machinery can do and you're going to be doing with it, we all see Top Gun. Yep. I mean, you get this all the time, I'm sure, but we all see Top Gun, and of course they just had the latest one. How realistic, as you're going through, we know it's for movies, but
Yep.
how realistic are those scenes when you're zooming by? And I mean, give us a sense of reality in that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. So the overall missions, tactics are all made up for Hollywood, and that's by nature, they can't actually do real stuff. It's not a documentary. It's meant for entertainment. But
Sure.
What the new Top Gun did a really good job of was filming real aircraft and real pilots, in the back of those jets. They put the actors in the back of the jets. So you actually get to see the distortion of the face, get to see them handling G-forces, get a sense of the intensity of it. So I thought they did a really, really good job portraying realistic flying sequences and actually filming real jets, not using CGI and stuff like that. So I thought they did a really good job.
When you finally get that call, or you get that designation that, okay, hey, you can go out and fly these fighter jets, obviously there's a degree of confidence, and we saw that in the movies and whatever, Yep. But you have to have that sense of confidence. Do you ever feel, or did you ever feel like, oh my gosh, now it's like this is real stuff. And like, does that hit you in the moment, or is it just? I'm sure your training has been phenomenal, but in the moment, do you just say, "Oh my God, this is the real time big stuff"?
Yeah, I would say along the way to flying these aircraft, there's a lot of gut checks, and a lot of times where you're outside your comfort zone, and those nerves really kick in when you're in mission planning and getting ready to go. And then as soon as the canopy closes and it's go time, you do really have to rely on the training and have that self-confidence that you can succeed and you can perform. And I'd say really the most important characteristic of a fighter pilot is actually humility. And it's not necessarily while you're in the air. You have to be humble and take feedback in the air, but it's really in the debrief where you have to be humble and take some blunt feedback. And it's all about getting better and meeting a high standard. And so the thing that the movies maybe don't portray is how important humility is in this career field.
So there was a part of Iceman is good and some of Maverick is good. Like, Iceman wasn't wrong when he said, look, you always got to be thinking about your team. He wasn't all wrong. He was kind of the villain in that movie, but he wasn't wrong with what he said, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we're talking to Raz Larson again with the Cleveland National Air Show. And coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we mentioned you're going to be kind of center stage here. You are operating the F-22. Now, a lot of times I will say in promos leading up to this, and we talked to Kim Dell, the executive director, and Steph was outstanding in helping us line up all of your guests. Defying physics, defying gravity. We say that all the time, but like with this F-22 that you are going to be piloting later today and have many times, it really does defy physics. Talk about what this piece of machinery can do and will be doing this weekend.
Absolutely. It's a remarkable airframe, maybe the best pure airframe fighter that's ever been built in the world. We're the only fighter in the U.S. inventory that has thrust vectoring, so our thrust gets pointed up and down, and that's working in concert with some massive flight controls on the jet. So it's a really large airplane when you see it up close, and those flight controls are extremely advanced. So for me as the pilot, I have my throttle, stick, and pedals on the floor. I'm flying intuitively like a pilot should, but I'm making a request to a computer, and that computer is figuring out with thrust vectoring and all these massive flight controls what to move to produce the effect that I'm requesting. So we can do maneuvers at extreme angles of attack and even post-stall. So the airframe is stalled, but I'm still able to point the nose at will. So you're going to see that in the show this weekend. We'll basically do a backflip in a single point in the sky. You'll see the nose rotate. We'll do a controlled flat spin. All of which is post-stall. We'll cartwheel the jet, kind of like a hammerhead type maneuver, like you saw in Top Gun from the big scary bad guy. And then you'll also get to see the jet do a tail slide. So I'll go up in the vertical, bring the jet to a stop in the sky, and then slide backwards, getting about 80 knots in reverse, going in reverse. So a lot of maneuvers where other aircraft are out of control, and for us, we're perfectly in control, and it's all going back to that remarkable design of that airplane.
Just to make sure I heard you correctly, you said 80 knots in reverse.
Yep. So we'll be sliding backwards towards the earth, tail first. And then we're well within the flight control envelope of the jet. So for me as the pilot, I just push forward and recover. And then the airplane also has a remarkable amount of power. So we have 70,000 pounds of thrust for what weighs about a 60,000-pound airplane. So we're greater than 1-to-1, and you're really going to get to see and feel that power in the demonstration.
I just got chills. Just that whole description is amazing. Raz Larson is our guest here for the fighter pilot. He'll be piloting the F-22 in the 1 o'clock hour. 126, you said,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So,
yep.
I mean, precise. And we don't mess around. Like, if you're going at 126, damn it, it's 126. You're going to be going.
Yep.
Okay. The F-22, am I correct that no other country has that? Like, we are the only country that has the F-22 and all of its capabilities?
That's correct. Yep, we've never exported that airplane. So the U.S. built it and only built it for the United States Air Force. So we're the only branch that operates that aircraft.
So in order for you to hone your craft, and we talk about, you and I were talking a little football off the air. You're from Iowa, big Hawkeyes fan, so we love that.
Yep.
As a sports guy, I love being able to talk that. But we talk about in football, iron sharpening iron, and so you've got to be able to hone your craft. You go up there with a piece of machinery that nobody else can really touch. I'm guessing and I cheated a little bit. Red Air is basically like friendly. You're going up, you're doing drills, but it's friendly stuff. It's nothing.
Yep.
but you've got to get better. But you're not going up against like these other jets that you're fighting or drilling against probably want no part of the F-22. Am I right?
Yeah, certainly when the F-22 came out, so it's the world's first fifth-generation fighter. So the United States of America built the first and ushered in a new era, essentially, of air combat with the F-22. So when it came out, it was basically grossly overmatching anything else. Go out to exercises.
He's being kind right there.
It's got the great maneuvering. It also has stealth and incredible sensors on the jet, so we can see when we can't be seen. So you're taking shots and people are getting called dead and they never knew you were there, was the whole idea of the airplane. As other nations have tried to develop their own indigenous fifth-generation aircraft and more advanced surface-to-air missile systems, as we train now, we try to elevate the threat that we train to. So we'll put F-22s, we'll put aircraft like F-35s as red air. So we're going against very capable bad guy threats as well. And that's, again, like you said, we want to make it as absolutely challenging as possible in training so that we're the best we can be when we have to go do the real thing.
So realistically speaking, when the F-22's up there and, God forbid it's a real situation, just in the case of drills, if you could take us through that, basically how many of those jets does it take to, eliminate or defeat the F-22 that you're going to be piloting later today?
So we typically fight as a four-ship of F-22s. That's our fighting force working together. And all through my time flying the F-22, we always fight outnumbered, all the way up to 4 against 20, 24 adversaries. And we'll make it as challenging as possible where these bandits are getting killed and they'll go regenerate, and we got to keep fighting them. And we carry about 8 air-to-air missiles on each jet, and we also have an internal Gatling gun firing 6,000 rounds a minute. So our goal is that we're going to use every single missile, every single bullet in that fight, and then bring the four-ship home.
But let's be honest here. Normally when someone says, it's 4 versus 20, well, that's such an unfair fight. These 20 that are facing you guys, you 4, are saying, basically, we don't want... It's probably not a fun afternoon, I'm guessing, for those. I mean, it's just nothing can do what that F-22 can do.
Yep, it's always fun getting to fly the F-22 in dissimilar combat where we're getting to fight other aircraft, whether that's doing the beyond visual range stealth things that we do or in a dogfight, because nothing else can move like an F-22 right now.
I think that's a perfect way right there. Nothing else can move like an F-22. And today at 126, and again, this is not a round one. It's 126.
Yep.
You're going to see this guy in action and all weekend long. Raz, we really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great stuff. Be safe up there. We know you will. And I'll say go Hawkeyes, too.
I appreciate that.
Since you are. Now, is the offense going to be better this year, before I let you go?
We'll see. I guess we're going to find out here in a few hours with college football kicking off. So.
A lot of microscope on that on that offense.
Yep. Die-hard Hawkeye, no matter what. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Raz Larson, boy, good stuff there. Doesn't get any better than him or the piece of machinery that he's going to have again later today, the F-22. He said, boom, the way he described it, and I thought it was great. He said, when the canopy goes down and it's go time, you just go. That's what there are certain individuals, right? Everybody has jobs in this world, and then there are certain jobs that are just on another level when it comes to importance, when it comes to ability, when it comes to all of this. This guy is one of them. Couldn't have been, a nicer guy either, but it is amazing to think just how powerful, like that F-22, 126 today, we're going to be seeing things, like I was talking to Steph before the interview with Raz, and we were talking about how, you say, well, it defies physics and it can do. We can't fathom what that thing can do and does.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, we broadcast a sports show here, and you want to talk about professional athletes and as gamers. And boy, those pilots, I mean, those are gamers, Chico. Those are guys who show up for the moment and rise to the occasion. And totally in awe of what they're able to do and all of the training that they've gone through. And it's, just hearing some of those things about, how cutting edge some of this technology is. It's fascinating, Chico.
Yeah, it is. It is awesome stuff. We're going to take a quick break. Again, if you're following us on the stream live at Chico Show CLE on Twitter, also on YouTube. We just talked to Raz Larson. Incredible stuff. We've got a duo coming up that you will not want to miss. This is going to be very entertaining. Talked about call signs. We were talking about Raz's call sign and how he got it and how some of them are different. And we've got one that is very, very complicated, but we'll explain all of it. Again, the Cleveland National Air Show. Folks, you're not going to get a better weather day than what we have right now, and we'll continue to have this weekend. Low 80s, sunshine. This is the place to be at Burke Lakefront Airport. More of the Chico Bormann Show live from the Air Show right after this on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back as we are continuing to broadcast live here from Burke Lakefront Airport. An absolutely gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous, Saturday morning into the afternoon here off the shores of Lake Erie. The Cleveland National Air Show. And we told you we had some special people coming on board. We had Raz just earlier talking about the F-22, which I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what that thing does and will do. And he's going to be performing at 126 later this afternoon. But I am happily joined right now by this is awesome because this is not only are these guys like they are a tag team in the air, but I feel like they could be a comedy routine as well. Again, we're broadcasting here from Burke, Lakefront Airport, and the air show. You guys, one is the pilot. That's you.
Yep.
Wizzo, that's you.
Yes, sir.
The Wizzo sits in the back, and essentially, you're the one judging this guy.
Yep, constantly judging, telling him to do whatever he's doing wrong and do it right, and just extra set of eyes and ears and another brain in the cockpit just to make sure we're as tactical as possible.
So is it constructive criticism, or are there times when maybe he's a little stubborn on a certain day, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and you got to really get it to him?
Sometimes I just have to really get in there and like move him like a puppet and make sure he's doing the right thing. But we don't always fly with the same person every time, so you kind of learn what pilot likes what, and so it's a lot of technique on whether it's gentle hands in the cockpit or more forceful and getting in there and making sure they're doing the right thing.
Okay, so I'm deliberately waiting for your call sign here because it's gonna take here about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's a paragraph.
By the way, before we go any further, I just want to say something's going to happen here in about 5-10 minutes. We've got a jet. This is the beauty of being live at the air show, folks. We're going to be having one of these planes take off. It's going to be loud. It's going to have a little bit of a breeze here, and we'll just deal with it. We'll deal with it however we have to. All right, so here's the pilot. Your name is?
It's Lieutenant Marty Wilson, call signs Grouse.
Grouse. Okay, yeah. Call sign Grouse. Did it take a lot of getting used to have somebody like him behind you, or is that something that it's just part of the gig?
So in the Navy's carrier air wings that deploy, there will be 4 F-18 squadrons. The normal carrier air wing will have 3 single-seat F-18 squadrons, so pilot only, and then 1 squadron will be a 2-seat Foxtrot setup like we have over here, like the jet will be flying today. And those aircraft are the ones that have Wizzos in the back seat. So when we go through training, some of the pilots will be sent to single-seat F-18 squadrons. Some of the pilots will be sent to 2-seat F-18 squadrons. I was happy that I got sent to a 2-seat F-18 squadron for my fleet tour. I was. It was good. We like to coke and joke, and we like to have fun in the cockpit, especially while we're doing the demonstration. It's constructive criticism. It's the dancing bear keeping me on the the right headings, speeds, altitudes, and all that stuff. But Jake mentioned this about being able to direct the pilot in the real world, actually out in the fleet, employing the aircraft tactically. Pilots that work with Wizzos that are in a 2-seat squadron, we just developed the training that when the Wizzo says something directive, rather than, oh, hey, could we do this? Let's go over here. Let's do it this way. Like, my brain is programmed to hear that when I hear the Wizzo say something directive in the back seat, I do it in the front seat because it's an extra set of eyes and ears that doesn't have to worry about controlling the aircraft, that might see something quicker than I do, that can then provide that sanity check. And so when I hear his voice say, do this, my hands move.
That's okay. Very good explanation, first of all, and I'm glad that you were able to do that and not me. But I've got to say, like, in that situation, this is all, everybody feels pressured. All you guys, as we talked to you earlier, you guys are growing up, and this is, today's fun, and you still got to be serious, but in the heat of battle, it's real stuff. How much pressure is that on you? Because you're making snap judgments that not only has your life and others, but his. So how do you weigh all of that?
There's always the pressure, and we brief thoroughly about what we expect to go out and do, whatever mission, whether it's air to air, air to surface, or just go out and get currency, but we brief thoroughly, so that is like a mitigation for any unexpected errors or anything that we brief it thoroughly. So that's one, we call it like the 1G environment. Like right now we're sitting at 1G, and usually of mice and men, all plans go to hell in a handbasket. So especially when you're flying around at 7 Gs, Mach 0.95 or whatever we're doing, like it's you're no longer like thinking about what we briefed. It's what are we doing right here and now, and how are we going to like execute efficiently and effectively. And
achieve mission success. So in terms of like the pressure, like I grew up playing sports, so I've just relied on that, and I kind of thrive in like in a pressure mindset. And when the time's coming, I'm there to answer the call and do the thing right.
Okay, so I'm glad.
I was just about to say we actually have data to support this. So, I don't know what Jake's resting heart rate is, but we actually looked at this on his watch yesterday, and during the performance yesterday, his heart rate got to a max of 82 beats per minute. So, he's got ice in the veins over here.
Yeah.
What position now I got to ask a little sports stuff. What positions were you?
I played football. I played defensive end primarily, and then offensive guard my high school years. And I played baseball as well, like third base, first base, growing up.
So coming up with 2 men on, 2 down, 2 strikes, was no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. And then my football was my number one, still is my favorite sport, and just sacking a quarterback, that was my go-to, and no better feeling in the world than that.
Okay, so let me continue with that for just a moment here with an analogy. This is not something that's being relayed to you. I mean, you guys all have, you're all working together. You're all collaborating.
Yeah.
But when you make the decision, or you're telling him certain information, is it all being relayed to you, or this is just you?
Yeah, it's just relying on experience and what I've seen in the past.
You're not sending in a play. This is
yeah,
you.
Yeah,
this is you.
This is like offensive coordinator seeing the play. And the other thing is too, like in the newer F-18s, the backseat Wizzo has a giant, we call it the Jumbotron. It's like an iPad screen. It's a God's eye view of whatever's going on. And so they have like a smaller one, but the Wizzo in the back has a bigger idea of what is going on air-to-air, air-to-surface environment. So we have a better understanding as they're like trying to fly the aircraft tactically. We can look at the overall, field of view and have the best game plan going forward. And then we're talking about it inner cockpit, making sure that we're both on the same page.
Anything he's missing or you need to add?
No, not at all. I mean, he nailed it. And then when it comes to what we're doing here at the air show, when it comes to our performance, our flight profile, when we come out here and we do this profile, we know it absolutely cold. We know it front to backwards. So, theoretically, it's not like we would ever do this, but Jake could just close his eyes and just call out what we're supposed to call out at certain times. And we're, the finesse and the showmanship of flying the aircraft in a show, that's on me to make sure that we're giving a good presentation. But as far as the information, to make sure that we're flying the profile correctly, the right headings, altitudes, airspeeds, I know it cold, so does Jake, and we're gonna, it's mutual trust, double checking each other, and it works flawlessly.
So, okay, Marty, right?
Yep.
Your call sign's Grouse. It's much easier to say Jake, at least for me. But I've got to go through this. I got to figure out. You guys, Raz kind of gave us a behind the curtain look at how this whole thing forms. Your call sign, and our camera probably can't get it, but
it's just alphabet soup. My name's Lieutenant Jake Broker. Call sign is Thumb Thumb, the corn-fed big head dancing bear.
Thumb,
the corn-fed, big head, dancing bear.
Dancing bear.
Most people just call me Dancing Bear because they're not going to want to say that over the radio.
Because I know you guys are all about particulars, so but I mean even that, like you got to shorten it. So it's Dancing Bear.
Yes, sir.
I can say Grouse and Dancing Bear and get away with it.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. How long have you guys been flying together?
I got to our squadron back in July of 22. I think you were shortly behind.
I got to the squadron in September of 2022. One of the distinctions of our squadron from other Navy squadrons is our squadron's called the Fleet Replacement Squadron. So our primary job is instructors training new aircrew on the F-18. So when students finish flight school, they get their wings. They go to either Virginia Beach, Virginia, or Lemoore, California, if they're going to fly the F-18. And we will leave here from the air show on Tuesday. We will be on the flight schedule on Wednesday at home to just instruct a formation flight.
I'm actually on the schedule on Tuesday to write the schedule for Wednesday.
Oh, there we go. So you're right back to work.
This is the information guy right here.
Yeah.
Tax dollars at work.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, the Navy puts us to work and keeps us there. So, so we've been flying together for just a little over a year, and we've been flying together for the demo season for this one season. So we'll fly together next year as well.
How much do you guys get? Because we were talking to Raz about this, and anytime at the air show, I think we probably said it so many times ad nauseum with the Mach 5 and Top Gun references. How often do you guys get that Maverick Goose sort of thing? Because essentially it is kind of the same sort of situation. Am I right?
I mean, I think it's the easiest for people to relate to. It's there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of things that are inherent to our community that a lot of civilians probably are not going to understand simply because they aren't exposed to it. But something that civilians can easily relate to is something they've seen in a movie, like Top Gun, for example. So I say I'm Maverick in the plane and he's Goose in the plane, and people can easily understand that, and they can reference the pop culture and go, oh, okay, I get it.
What do people need to know about you said you're teaching a lot of what you guys do is teaching others to fly the F-18. Heard Raz talk about the F-22, and that seems to be like the end-all be-all. That F-18, what is that capable of?
So the F-18 has been and still is the backbone of naval aviation. So distinction between like RAS and the Air Force in general is we fly and land on the aircraft carrier. So, and 70% of the world's covered by ocean. So 70% of the world is covered by the U.S. Navy and by naval aviation. So that's the main distinction, is we're going to be taking off and landing on an aircraft carrier, and to project power from the aircraft carrier, that's where the F-18 comes in, where we load air-to-surface, anti-ship, air-to-air weapons, and just projecting our power from the aircraft carrier. And you can kind of see, like, they have a Harrier over there, but the landing gear on the F-18 is much beefier because we're coming down with a bag of knots to make sure that we trap on the aircraft carrier with the tail hook catching the wire. And then the other distinction is, like, our call signs are very degrading, and how you get the call sign is doing something stupid at the bar or something like that. So that's why they get like laser, blade, blazer, and we get grouse and dancing bear.
See, now Raz said theirs is degrading. So
Okay.
it's not there's levels of it, I guess, right? Okay. So when you guys are landing on these, and these are questions that for you guys, I'm sure it's like, well, what do you think we're doing, right? But I mean, for the layman and for someone like myself and those watching right now and coming this weekend, what is it that you're doing when you're landing those planes and assisting? What's going on there?
So as far as what the Wizzo is doing, and you by all means can jump in. Again, it's one of those like the sanity check from the back seat. But
I'm saying, please don't kill me.
Yeah, pretty
Land
much.
safely.
I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. Is like it's a lot of trust coming from the back seat to the front seat. Once we are coming around to land on the aircraft carrier, we're just relying on years of training and hundreds of looks at coming down in an aircraft carrier and doing field landing practice, on a runway, to make sure that we're moving the aircraft appropriately. And one of the things that it makes us a lot different from the Air Force planes is you'll notice that the F-22 and the F-16s, they're not here. They're actually over at Cleveland Hopkins International. The reason for that is this is a 6,600-foot runway. The F-16s and F-22s are what we call airspeed landers. So they land at a certain airspeed, and they come in pretty quickly to land. So they need more runway. The F-18 is what we call an AOA lander. It stands for angle of attack. So what that means is we are angling our nose a certain angle while we're flying forward. And the reason we do that is you can see the tail hook between the two engine exhausts. So that keeps the tail hook down at a certain angle so that is the first thing that touches the deck of the aircraft carrier and catches the wire and stops us. So number one, that's why we can land at a shorter runway like this. But back to your question about what we're doing when we're landing on the aircraft carrier is we're coming around and we look, and the first time we get out to the aircraft carrier, it doesn't matter how many times we've gone out there, the first time you're back out of the aircraft carrier, it looks like a postage stamp. It looks so small. and you get more used to it. Once you're out there for a few weeks, few months, it becomes more routine. But we come around the corner and we're using the F-18's like amazing flight control capabilities. We have precision landing modes that over the years of development of it, it's made it a lot easier for us to land on the aircraft carrier.
So easy a Wizzo could do it.
Yeah. Please don't. So we also have landing signals officers. They're nicknamed paddles because of the paddles they actually used to use in World War II to signal us. Now we have radios, but they'll be keeping us safe from the deck of the aircraft carrier. So if for whatever reason, we're starting to trend towards something that's unsafe, they're there to keep us safe. But for the most part, it's relying on us, the pilots, to make sure that we're flying a good approach to the aircraft carrier. And really the aim point that we're looking to have the hook touch down is about 20 feet. Like, that's where we really want it. We have, about 100 feet of wires to catch, but, we strive for perfection, not just in naval aviation, but aviation in general. And just, we've got like a 20-foot aim point to put the hook down and catch the wire.
Couple more minutes, and again, that's that in a nutshell. I mean, it sounds simple. Obviously, it's extremely difficult. Can't even imagine what that's like. Doesn't even sound simple. What am I talking about? It's just, you made it sound simple with the description. A few more minutes. We got grouse. We got dancing bear here, and we're live at the Cleveland National Air Show. Gorgeous day. A lot of the events going to be going on this afternoon. Now, as far as you guys and what you'll be doing, give us an idea. First of all, I've always wondered this. Like, for like your group, is it the same at every show? Are you able to mix it up? If you say, hey, you know what? That's getting stale. Let's do this. There's something that I wanted to add to it, or is it pretty regimented in terms of what you guys do?
It's pretty regimented, and everything that we do has to be approved by the FAA, just for safety regulations. Yeah. So we do have we will mix it up based on what the weather's doing. So if we had clouds coming in, we'd flex to a low show, is how we call it, and it's just a show that'll keep us below the clouds, and it'll look a little bit different. But as far as we'll have a beautiful day here, so it's our standard high show, which is the best of the profiles that we have. But it'll be a lot of high speed, a lot of noise, a lot of going high, and then a lot of low. So it'll be a mix of everything, and it just shows the entire envelope and the maneuverability of the F-18, which is pretty not as aggressive and crazy as the F-22, but it'll still stand up to them, and we're going right after them. So hopefully we put on as good a show as them.
Are you ever to just play comes in from the sideline, we'll go back to football, and coach, that's not going to work in this formation. Dancing Bear doesn't know what he's doing. Does Dancing Bear ever make a call and you're like, listen, I'm Grouse, I'm the pilot, this is what we're doing?
You sit back there and you shut up.
So the funny thing is, you would think that that's something that can occasionally come up, and I would say that I've never had that happen in my fleet tour, where there was such a disconnect between what I thought was good and what the Wizzo thought was good. And Dancing Bear can speak from his fleet experience, but that's something that's very, very rare. And I would say that if anything, that goes back to our training. We understand how to execute a mission properly, how to set up the aircraft properly. Everybody is familiar with Top Gun, of course, but they also put out a manual for us to abide by with our tactics, techniques, and procedures. And that way it is standardized across the fleet, so everybody executes the right way. And so we very, very rarely, if ever, run into those situations where, he thinks it should be done a certain way, and I'm like, no, it shouldn't be done that way. It should be done this way. We have something that tells us how to execute properly. No buzz in the tower. No. There's actually a pretty funny, there's like a blog or something that said what Tom Cruise did, what Maverick did in Top Gun, he would have lost his wings like 86 times or something for all the stuff that he did that he shouldn't have done. Now, do you guys ever, we'll get you out of here with this, I promise. You guys ever go into, a local establishment and do the Maverick Goose routine, like she's lost that love and feelings?
I get the girl, something like that? No. We did do a little musical routine at the Battle Creek Air Show. I can see Dancing Bear kind of,
Yeah. He does like dancing and he does like music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we at Battle Creek, Michigan, we went up. It was a air show combined with a fair, and so we air show people thought it'd be funny for us to go up and do a musical number. So four of us
It's the
did. You've lost that love and feeling.
Yeah.
Had to. I mean, you absolutely
have to.
What time are you guys going today?
13:44 takeoff.
Yep.
On the dot.
13:44 takeoff. Boom. You know what that is? 1:44.
Oh, I nailed it.
Oh yeah, sorry. Military
All right,
time.
1:44. Guys, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Appreciate it.
Going to be a lot of fun. Again, this is Grouse. This is Dancing Bear. There's no way I'm touching that full call sign, but these guys, you know, it's entertainment, and we love seeing them here, and we appreciate, obviously, you guys being candid about all this, but very serious stuff that they're doing. But you're going to have an opportunity to see it all afternoon, all weekend long. These guys, we mentioned Raz going at 126. These guys at 144. So don't want to miss it. This is, again, Grouse and Dancing Bear. I'm just Chico. I'm just some guy hosting this show, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Live from Burke Lakefront Airport. More of the Cleveland National Air Show right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, we are back here at the Cleveland National Air Show as we get set for day one. We still have 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Labor Day, Monday. And, folks, last year you may remember the weather, not exactly cooperative, right? It was rainy. It was kind of a washout for the most part. You can't ask for a better day than we have today off the shores of Lake Erie. Just absolutely, positively gorgeous. We thank you, the guests. We had Raz to start there. We had Dancing Bear and Grouse, and Dancing Bear's got the wife and the family here, and it's awesome. I mean, this is just, families come out. I think Raz said his family was here as well. It's just a great opportunity, I think. And Raz said something to me at the start of the interview when we were talking about, how you get into it and what's, what is it, what's your motivation, and he said it really, all of these events, this happens to be obviously Labor Day weekend, but all of these events are just so patriotic, and they really are. I mean, I said this week, Bohm, that it's kind of one of those things where whether you're 8 years old or 80 years old, you're going to have fun here. Like, there truly is something for everyone, and it's just, we're lucky that the weather's going to cooperate. But I mean, in a couple hours, this place is going to be buzzing with activity. But just awesome time out here. Yeah, make sure you bring your sunscreen, because my neck is getting burned up from this angle, Chico. Well, what about my bald head? I'm going to have. Didn't account for this. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's, no, I don't mind. We'll getting that vitamin D. Exactly. All right. So other things going on. We got a little hiatus here as we wait for our next guest for the air show. But we do have football today. We have Ohio State football today. Yeah, baby. As the Buckeyes will take on. I'm just laughing because I'm picturing Bohm, and you said that you didn't. They take on Indiana today in Bloomington. You said you didn't have your jersey, or you didn't have your what? So I wasted like 10 minutes this morning looking for any of my Ohio State shirts, of which I have several. I couldn't find any because I'm such a mess. But all I could find were the jerseys, and I didn't want to be jersey guy today, Chico. I didn't want to be the one rocking the jersey. I'm 30 years old. It just doesn't feel right. But see, I think once a jersey guy, always a jersey. You're a jersey guy. I wore it at the stadium for game days, Chico. It's not the same thing. So what jerseys do you own, Ohio State? Yeah, so related? I have a two, because I bought all my jerseys while I was at Ohio State. So this is pre-NIL, so it doesn't have last names. They probably knew you before you, like, as you were walking up, they're like, oh, here comes Bohm again. Yeah. I'll take a Raekwon McMillan. Well, I do have a 5, but I bought it in the Braxton Miller era. And then I also have a 1 and a 2 and a 0. A 1, a 2, and a 0. Yeah, it's like a blockout. Okay. Buckeyes are favored by 30. You really did buy that for? That's the one I wear the least. I learned something new every day from this guy. Like, I just when you think you know somebody and have heard just when you think all of the puzzle pieces, you have all the puzzle pieces that make up Michael Bohm, let's have one more. This guy has jerseys that basically make up Block O. I almost have a straight flush. I just need a Julian Fleming. Ohio State going to cover today against Indiana? You know what? I think they're going to come close, but I have a lot of questions with that quarterback position that I think won't entirely be answered. But there's some confidence that needs to be rejuvenated, Chico. I like that. Confidence that needs to be rejuvenated. I don't think that they're actually going to cover today. That's not a bet that I feel comfortable making. I think it's going to be shaky out of the start, just first game of the season kind of jitters, I suppose, shaking off that real live action rust. And so I don't expect Ohio State to come out just hitting on all cylinders. This isn't going to be the mid-season Buckeyes that we
will come to expect.
See, I'm gonna go with what Bill Landis said yesterday. We had him on from Rivals.
6 rushing touchdowns.
Well, I mean, basically, it's going to be a run-heavy day. I think we're so focused on, and justifiably so, we're so focused on Kyle McCord, right? We're so focused on what they're going to do offensively and how's he going to look throwing the football. And we know that he has arguably, not arguably, the best wide receiver, maybe the top 2 wide receivers in the country, and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Ibuka. So I think initially, right out of the gate, we are absolutely, positively enamored with the passing game. And I get that. But I think Bill's right. Keep in mind that up front of that offensive line, they have some new faces. And I think one of the best ways that you can, that you can establish that confidence or get that feel going is just line up, hat on hat, and start running the football. And you've got a guy in Travion Henderson, right? Travion Henderson he missed most of last season with that lingering foot injury. This guy, by all indications, Travion Henderson has just been chomping at the bit. They all are. We understand that. But Travion Henderson has been chomping at the bit to get on the field. This guy's a difference maker. I think I kind of agree with Bill. I don't know about 6 touchdowns. And he went so far as to say 6 rushing touchdowns, Emeka Ibuka on an end around, which I thought was great. Because if you're going to make the bold predictions, I mean, be really bold about it. So he's like, okay, not only am I going to go 6 rushing touchdowns, I'm going to go Emeka Ibuka on an end around as well. But I think as fascinated and as focused as we are, and we all seem to be on McCord and the passing game and what it looks like, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot. I'm with Landis. I think you're going to see smash mouth. Let's get Travion Henderson feeling good, and let's establish that.
And I think Ryan Day, he wants to open up the offense, but at the same time, you should lean on that running game. It makes sense when you have a quarterback who's in Kyle McCord making his 2nd ever start in college football.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also excited to see beyond that just Travion, because that room is so deep. We've talked about it before. Evan Pryor returning from injury is like the one X factor.
You love it. That's kind of your new man crush this
Landis
year.
didn't mention him, and I was kind of surprised by that, because I think there's going to be a role for him. Travion was the 1st ranked running back in that recruiting class, and Evan Pryor was 4th. And I think that's still, the 4th running back in the entire class is a guy who 4 to 5 stars by all accounts, every recruiting database. So there's a lot of expectation for him.
Right, but with it being such a deep room, and they're clear, this is not a case where the top spot is in question. This isn't like a
no, of course not.
So I think that's where Mayan Williams is going to be the, kind of the zig and zag of this of that little duo. I just don't see Evan Pryor being. Right now, anyway. It's nothing against Evan Pryor, but I think it's going to be a little while.
I'm just hoping he gets the opportunity. But, yeah, gotta cover those spreads if we want to see it at this point.
All right, Fanboy Nick is talking with our next guest. I don't know. He probably wants to weigh in, I'm sure, on Evan Pryor and Nick Ibuka. And he probably has a jersey for Bohm, an Ohio State jersey. We're going to
add to the collection. We're
going to take a quick break. When we come back, folks, you can see behind me, it is an absolutely just stunningly gorgeous day here at Burke Lakefront Airport. The Cleveland National Air Show continues into the 11 o'clock hour. We go. A lot of this action going to be starting to heat up here in the next hour or so. We've got our next guest, another pilot. Love talking to these guys. We've had a blast doing it. You can, of course, come on down and check it out as well at Burke Lakefront Airport. More of the Chico Bormann Show live from the Cleveland National Airport right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Alrighty, welcome back. The Chico Bormann Show special edition here as we broadcast live from Burke Lakefront Airport, site of the Cleveland National Air Show. And just a splendid day, as you can see behind me. You can see some of the activity, the jets lined up. We've already spoken to some of the fighter pilots. And, yep, we've got the noises and all the ambiance that comes along with the National Air Show that we've come to know and love for many, many years now. And joining me right now, his call sign is Thumper. Real name is Lucas Pumphrey, and he joins us here as we broadcast live. Now, you have an interesting. I would say you're kind of like a do-it-all type guy. You're the Swiss Army knife of the show, seemingly this weekend.
I wouldn't go that far, man. That's I'm not that great by any stretch of the imagination.
But
so.
You can talk yourself. I'll talk you up.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah.
So what are your duties? Because you're the announcer. You've also flown this stuff. What are you
exactly.
doing?
So for this weekend, obviously we flew the 3 aircraft in the other day, and then kind of doing the announcing duties over there for the Harrier demo show. One of the other pilots, Captain Corlucci is his name. He's going to be doing the flying today. So I kind of got a script I got to go by and just kind of get everybody jazzed up about what the Harrier is going to do throughout the routine today. So
you were talking. We were talking off the air, and you've got a very interesting story, which we love those. Not everyone is just, hey, this is how I ended up here, and step by step. Tell us about your journey and what led you to all of this.
Yeah, you're right. So obviously there's kind of working inside the box, there's working outside the box, and all the different things you can do through your career. I actually joined the Marine Corps early on in 2001. And I enlisted in the Marine Corps, and through all of the different jobs that you could pick through, I ended up becoming an aviation ordnanceman actually on the Harrier. So I worked on the Harrier in this same squadron. In fact, this is my patch from 20 years ago that I'm wearing right now for 223. So I joined 223. I was ordnance in 223 for a while, deployed with them, and like I said, worked on the same exact Harriers that I'm flying now. And then, like I said earlier, got accepted to a fantastic program in the Marine Corps that allowed me to go earn a commission, and became an officer, and then went through flight school. And like I was talking about, all the different forks in the road that led me to fly the Harrier is kind of, I ended up right back where I started, essentially. So it has been a wild journey for sure.
How difficult? I mean, there's a lot that we can't fathom as just normal civilians and not knowing exactly what you guys do. But how hard was it the first time that you got in one of those things? Like, did you say to yourself at any point, like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision?
I think honestly, I probably say that every time I strap on the jet, really, because the Harrier likes to try to beat you, But no, you're right. The first time you get in the aircraft, it's a 2-seat variant, which obviously we didn't bring here. We do have a 2-seat trainer variant, so you jump in there, and the instructor, they even kind of let you know, all the students before you and all the other, even instructor pilots before you will let you know, like, your first takeoff, it's gonna get you, and it does. I mean, you leave your brain back there on the runway, really, as you're flying down, and it's an amazing experience. It really is. It's nothing like all the other aircraft you fly before it through training and stuff like that.
So it's funny you use that analogy, like, leave your brain back there and
right.
Just, so essentially your training takes over, but at the same time, like, and again, I'm gonna quote a cheesy, Top Gun reference. But,
okay, good.
If you think you're dead, remember when Maverick says that?
Right.
So obviously, there's a lot of thinking going on, but yeah, I mean, it has to be so second nature, and I would think by the time. I guess for someone like yourself, when you first start out, how hard of a transition was that to just say, okay, hey, just react. Don't necessarily think, just react. How long does that really take?
It's tough, man. Yeah, it's obviously a lot of practice, a lot of training. We do a lot of simulator events that kind of help lead us to that point that you talked about, having that kind of that instinct there. At the end of the day, there is actually a lot of effort that goes into it, a lot of studying, a lot of things you're doing kind of in your own time to prepare yourself. We do a lot of emergency procedure kind of reactions, so if we see something that happens in the aircraft, we're kind of prepared for it. And then one of the things that you don't really see and you kind of don't really think about is while we're flying this aircraft, there's always somebody manning a radio somewhere, typically, that's there to help us out if we get into a different situation. So we have help, essentially, as we go through this thing. But to kind of go back to your original point, the kind of rote memorization, the doing things over and over and again helps you get to that point, like you talked about, where you're already doing it without even knowing you're doing it kind of thing.
Lucas Pumphrey, call sign Thumper, is our guest here. We are day one of the Cleveland National Air Show. Going to be a buzz of activity here in just a little while. So specifically, what are you going to be working on today? And I know you mentioned your role, but is that going to be like the whole weekend, or is it going to change?
I'll be doing the announcing the whole weekend. There is a static display Harrier actually over here in the air show as well that we'll man every now and then and go talk to some of the folks that want to come talk to us, take some pictures and things like that. So, I will be doing basically the same role all weekend. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite activity that, if they said, okay, Lucas, you can do whatever you want to do, what's number one on that list?
In respect to what? What's the context here?
Okay, that's a good question. That was a very broad question, and I should know better. We'll say just in the context of the air show for right now.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll be up front, and if he watches this, I don't care because I don't actually work for him. But Captain Cortolucci, I would take his spot in an instant, right? He kind of jumped on the demo pilot thing, which I love him for it.
Right?
I could definitely do his job, right?
Sure.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so anything now. We had Raz on in the first hour and talking about the F-22 and just an incredible piece of machinery.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What if I said anything, no context as far as the air show, just what you would want to do? What would it be?
That's still extremely broad. So I guess we can take it outside the military and the air show realm, right? Big baseball fan, at least I did, growing up. So if somebody wanted to get, let me take that back, right? Like somebody needs to give me talent first, and then I would love to go out there and get on a field and do some stuff. But yeah, I grew up playing baseball, Braves fan, obviously at heart, down in the Southeast, growing up in Florida. So let's go out.
Okay. So actually, we have some history with the Braves here. With the then Indians, and we actually a weekly guest of mine. He's become a good friend over the last few years. Brett Boone joins us.
Oh, nice.
Each and every Wednesday he joins us, and he was just telling us a story this past week of getting in a traffic jam. There was a bumper, like a little fender bender, but it was like a 12 car, nothing serious, thank God. And he was
on his way to a game.
Yeah, he was on his way to a game. He's basically saying, hey, I got to get going, So the officer was very cool. He told the guy that he hit in front of him, like, hey, just give me a call and I'll write the check, whatever we need to do.
Right.
This guy ended up being that guy. Like calling him. He's like, all of a sudden I heard the answering machine. We're dating ourselves. The answering machine go off, and this guy's like, Brett, I was at the game tonight. Like, oh. Yeah, so it's crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
He tried to extort him after that. He tried to get money out of Brett.
Then he took a sledgehammer to his car, his own car, and was saying, this is what Brett did. Now, mind you, there's a police up.
Great,
broad daylight, like you think you're going to get away with it. But anyway, that's our long-winded Braves story.
Good.
All right. As far as the events for this weekend, we're thinking the weather hopefully is going to continue to be like this.
Yeah, I hope so.
What happens how does that affect all the planning? Because there's a lot of planning that goes into this, not only for you guys, the event coordinators, all of that. When weather does become an issue, how does that factor into the equation?
So everybody's got their own demonstration, essentially. Like, obviously can't speak to some of these other aircraft and what they're doing other than just what I watch out here. But, Harrier specifically, some of the maneuvers he does out there takes him up to a certain altitude and then back down. So if weather's rolling in, he can't go up to that altitude. So he has to kind of modify how he does his maneuvers. So that plays in a role. Additionally, for the Harrier specifically, if weather becomes a factor in terms of temperature, right, because we kind of care about that a little more so than the other guys when he's doing his hovers, that could affect how long he's able to hover based on how much gas he needs. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it there, but specifically from it's not beautiful outside anymore weather perspective, people kind of have to take the show and bring it a little bit lower to still a safe altitude if they're able to, you know what I mean?
That jet that's hovering that you were just mentioning, that can't, can you explain to folks just how hot that is? Like, that thing can't, if it actually landed, it would.
So it depends on the runway surface or whatever surface he's actually landing on, the environment there, what he does to it. There are surfaces that it doesn't destroy, and it's made specifically for aircraft that are going to hover. The F-35, for instance, actually produces a hotter, air as it's going down. But the Harrier, kind of the max that we're looking at typically is about 800 degrees Celsius, right? So you wouldn't want to really be anywhere around that as it's hovering. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not too great. But yeah, it would wipe out a unprepared surface if he tried to come down and land.
Okay. One last thing. We were talking to Raz to start the show just after 11, and he's got the F-22.
Of course.
And we were talking about you're trying to hone your craft as he does. You guys are all doing that on a daily basis and with your training. He goes up there, though, and, I think they call it red air. Is that right?
Yeah, that is a mission, yeah.
Okay, so, friendly mission. How many, do guys normally like going up against the F-22s? I mean, as much as okay, it's going to be a challenge. I know you guys all live for challenges, but
right.
It's like the F-22, it almost takes 20 of the other ones to,
Probably, yeah. No, I mean, from a Harrier's perspective, just completely wildly different mission sets. I can personally say that I've never done a red air against an F-22. Usually those guys want to fight something a little different than us. But
what would they fight? What would they?
There's
doesn't matter.
Probably more Air Force stuff than Marine Corps stuff. But that's not to say there aren't any Marine Corps airplanes that go out there and go up against the F-22. But like I said, because the Harrier is a little bit more air-to-surface driven, we don't necessarily seek to be red air for F-22s necessarily. But to your point again, I think that you probably get pretty frustrated when you go fight one of those guys, would be my guess.
So you're going to be doing a lot of announcing this week. Do you have to take my cue and our cue where we drink the tea and we got to be? You don't.
Is that a thing?
No, I've never done it.
I don't want to drink the tea.
Yeah, I didn't. Where they say you got to rest your vocal cords. Come on, you're a tough guy.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
Well, you can do your boss's job.
He's not my boss. I wouldn't even go that far. Look. He's going to watch this, and we need to make sure he understands.
We're going. This is going to be clipped, edited, and all that, and then
cut out all the words. Yeah,
we'll be sending it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you,
Lucas. We appreciate you stopping by, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
It's going to be a fun weekend. Appreciate all you guys do. And, it's going to be a fun and very entertaining weekend. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, we will take another quick break. Again, we're broadcasting live the Chico Bormann Show via Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. Also, you can find us on YouTube. Type in the Chico Bormann Show. If you're not subscribing, hit subscribe, and you'll be all set to go. We'll continue until noon, and then this place is going to be crazy here and crazy all weekend, but crazy in a great way. And the weather, couldn't ask for a better day. So we'll be back with more right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Alrighty, welcome back as we continue to broadcast live from Burke Lakefront Airport, site of the Cleveland National Air Show. And, full disclosure, Bohm, I just had a chance to, walk inside and then walk back out. And the backdrop, is just, how many backdrops?
It's stunning.
I think we're going to need this for a set. I'd have to ask Ken if we can get this as a regular set.
Chico, we got parachutists all over the place.
Nahu Ramirez, who joined us yesterday.
He's probably out there right now.
Nahu Ramirez might be up in the sky right now, descending upon us. Maybe he has me as the bullseye. He has got my bald spot, which is much bigger than...
You think you can see the baldness from up there?
Oh, I think he can see it. I think he sees a big glare. There's no doubt about that.
Now, wouldn't it be something if Nahu could just land right in our shot?
I didn't think about, when we had him on, if I would have known this is kind of where we were going to be, that would have been great to. But what I always forget about is that whole FAA thing. They have rules and, there's people. I can't just say, hey, no, come on and land over here. It doesn't work that way.
Flag them down.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. All right, Chico Bormann Show. Just about 10, 15 minutes more to go here as we get you set for the Cleveland National Air Show all weekend long. Again, the weather spectacular, and we heard from Raz there in the first hour. 122. That's one of the ones that you don't want to miss. At 122, he's going to be in the F-22. We had Grouse and Dancing Bear, and yes, it is like Maverick and Goose. And
the dynamic duo.
Yeah,
Raz and Taz too. How about that?
Raz and Taz. I just you want to be able to see that, inside the cockpit, but hear their dialogue, and it's incredible stuff, And one thing that I thought was interesting, we talk about, and I know in sports we talk about this all the time about trusting the guy next to you, playing for the guy next to you. Never is it more apparent, not to get all sentimental, but never is it more apparent or important than it is this weekend and what these guys are doing on these jets. As much as we were joking with Grouse and Dancing Bear about, hey, Dancing Bear is the instructor, or he's the the Wizzo sitting in back and he's giving instruction. And I said to him, do you ever call an audible and say, you know what, I don't like that call. I'm going with my call. And he's like,
Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha. He's never. He said, I've never had to do that, and part of that is the training, and part of that is the trust they have for one another. I'm sure there's certain times, human elements here, wow, I don't necessarily agree with that
Whizzing
call
by.
as we have one of the jets go right by us. But you heard him say, no, the trust factor, this is what we trained for, and part of the training is, you're training for and with that guy sitting next to you. So, yeah. We talk about it in sports all the time, oh, are you a team guy? Are you playing, you playing alongside and playing for that guy next to you as well as yourself? Never is it more apparent than it is here with these guys and gals that are doing all of this.
These guys are the ultimate team players.
Yes, no doubt about it. All right, so a big weekend in sports, too. Can you believe, by the way, a week from today, we're going to be, 24 hours away from the Browns opening the season against the Cincinnati Bengals?
Can't wait, Chico.
Yeah, and just a stone's throw away here at Burke Lakefront Airport. So,
by the way, did you catch Joe Burrow's, Instagram post where he posted the old LeBron jersey Joe Burrow pic? And he's like, I'm back.
Well, LeBron's a big Joe Burrow. Everybody seemingly is a big Joe Burrow fan.
It's a mutual appreciation of each other.
Boom, we were going to have fair or foul, but your fair or foul just got axed.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have that many topics prepared.
Apparently, we should have had fair or foul presented by Grouse and Dancing Bear.
They could have joined us. That would have been fun.
That would have been great.
Oh.
All right. Again, thanks to everybody here at Burke Lakefront. We're going to have him on. Okay, let's do it. Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in.
All right. Omaha.
Omaha. We got an audible. I mean, I got Padone trying to fake me out with a call of I didn't know what was going on. Let's just do it live. We do it live here.
I don't know what's going on either.
No, it's join my fraternity. The airport commissioner is here. First of all, thank you so much for having us out here. I can tell you, I see you walk by every single day while doing our show here for Big Play, and we love being up here and being a part of this. But this is something special.
Oh, we love having you guys here. You guys are an asset not only to the airport but to the city. And it's a fun time in Cleveland right now because there's so much going on with the air show, the Cleveland Browns, the Guardians, the Cavs. It's just a great time to be in Cleveland right now.
How much planning? I was talking to Kim Dell, the executive director of the air show, and I said to her, like, how much planning really goes into this? And she said, honestly, we're talking 2, sometimes 3 years out. Like, it's that, it's that extensive, and to see it actually come together has to be just incredible. But the planning that goes in for years is just amazing.
It's intense planning, radical focus on getting this product here to the airport. Because don't forget, we're competing with other airports around the country and sometimes around the world for these types of assets, and it's very complicated. There's the FAA partner, there's the city partner, there's the other federal agencies that are involved to bring these assets here. So it's very complex and it takes a long time. We always joke about planning because the air show ends Monday and we start the next air show planning on Tuesday with our partners at the air show. Great partners as well.
And that's kind of what Kim was saying. Like, it really is. It takes a while, and one's done, and then the planning stages begin for the next one as well. What other stuff you got planned as far as events here and coming up? Anything you can share with us?
Well, we have a lot of exciting things going on right now, whether it's at both airports here and at Burke Lakefront Airport and at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. We have Aer Lingus, our international partner, that started operations at Hopkins, and some growth from some of our other airline partners. And we also have some really cool things going to start happening here at Burke and on the lakefront as well in the upcoming months and years. So stay tuned for that. And we hope Big Play, and we hope that Big Play will be part of that as well.
Well, I haven't been able to, or maybe I have, and I just haven't done it. We've been tiptoeing that line of what we're going to be having here on a regular basis. Obviously, game days and stuff. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be fun. We have plenty of area to work with here, but I mean the proximity to Cleveland Browns Stadium. This is a fanatical town when it comes to their football, when it comes to their Browns, and we're going to have an opportunity to really do some things and be able to do some things with you people who have been very, very welcoming and very hospitable to all of us here. So
we look forward to it. We look forward to a long partnership, and go Browns.
Now, do you have the authority to get me up in one of these things? Are you?
Yeah, get in line. I'm the first one.
No. I'm cutting in front of you. I figured, I'm trying to find anybody that has pool with one of these things. But yeah, I'm finding it's pretty difficult.
Very complicated.
You don't just shake a hand and say, hey, can I? No, it doesn't work that way. But hey, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Best of luck the rest of this weekend. Obviously, continued success. Hopefully this weather is going to continue. It has been so great, and it is great right now as we speak, and we'll continue to do so tomorrow and Monday, Labor Day, throughout the Cleveland National Air Show. All right, we'll come back and wrap things up. The Chico Bormann Show, again, a special presentation, broadcasting live from Burke Lakefront Airport. It's all right here on the Big Play Sports Network. We are back live here at Burke Lakefront Airport. I mean, this is how it should be, right? It'd be like if we were broadcasting from a football game at the Cleveland Browns Stadium about to kick off and there was no crowd. This is what it's supposed to sound like. We got the U.S. Army jet, which I think, is that in the shot? No, kind of. All kinds of activity here at the airport. The Cleveland National Air Show, it has begun. It is a spectacular day, and glad to be a part of it. Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. And last but certainly not least, we love this. We've got a local guy here, folks. He is Alec Dawson, hails from Concord, proud Riverside Beaver, who had a big win last night against Menor. But even more important than all of that, many people have been messaging me, and we've been talking about just the backdrop, which is the C5M Super Galaxy. It's just a I want to say bad. I'll just say it's badass.
It's pretty badass.
It is amazing, and people have been talking about, you fly this thing.
I do, yes, sir.
You fly this thing. Welcome aboard. Great to have a local guy here.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, I'm just going to be general. What is that like, flying that thing?
It's actually, you don't notice the size once you're finally in the air, but when you're taxiing around and doing ground operations, that's when you really get an appreciation for the size of the C5. But once you get in the air, it yanks and banks with the best of them. So it's an awesome airplane to fly, and I love doing it.
How long have you been flying that thing?
I've been flying that for about 5 years now.
So when we talk about, like we were talking about some of the jets earlier in the week, going, getting up 50,000 feet, 30. How high does that thing get?
Service ceiling's about the low 40,000 feet range.
Low 40,
and that we're limited by our pressurization because it's such a big airplane. It's a lot of air that you got to move around in order to pressurize. So.
Do you just go solo in that thing?
No, absolutely not. I've got a crew of 10 here with me. So in order to get that giant warehouse with wings off the ground, it takes a minimum of 2 pilots, 2 flight engineers who are the systems experts on the aircraft, and then a minimum of 2 load masters. So it's a team effort, but we love doing it.
Yeah, so what's interesting, and again, Alec Dawson joining us, hails from Concord and here for the Cleveland National Air Show. He flies the C5M Super Galaxy right over my shoulder here at Burke. And you were saying, I asked you, which I've asked a lot of stupid questions so far today, but that's okay. I said, are you flying that today? And he said, oh, no. Once that thing is stationary, because you just gave us what it takes to fly it and all the people and manpower it takes to fly it. Once it's here, it's stationary for the entire show.
Correct, yeah. We'll be static display every day here at the air show. If we wanted to fly it, everyone else would have to leave. So we're usually the first ones in and the last ones out.
Is that not only because it's big and bad, but also like government classified like that?
No, it's just mostly wingtip clearances. We don't want to knock anything over. So, it's nice when everything's out of our way and we get the space that we need. So,
how close can people get to that thing? Can they?
Right now,
yeah.
We're letting people walk all the way through. So you see the visors open, and then the aft doors are open. So you can literally walk from front to back all the way through. We got benches on the side. It's the place to be at an air show.
I've got to. I might
absolutely.
Have to. Yeah, I might
absolutely.
have to. So you've been doing this
about 5 years now. In that plane, I've been flying for about 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, when you first got into it, like, take us through. I've been asking all these guys about their journey, different journey to get here. Is this something that you wanted from a very young age? Were you
my story with becoming a pilot is actually pretty unique. I was at school at Cincinnati, had no aspirations of flying, and did well on a test that said I had high aptitude for pilot. So, kind of ran with that, and then next thing I knew, I was at pilot training for 1.5 years in Mississippi, and then got C5s out of pilot training, and the rest is history.
So what did you originally go to UC for?
Criminal justice. So a non-tech major in my field is kind of in the minority. I fly with a lot of engineers and a lot of smart people, and a lot of that goes over my head. But, when I finally get up there, kind of all goes away.
As far as how many Cleveland air shows have you been a part of?
So this is actually my first Cleveland air show. Grew up 30 minutes down the road and never had an opportunity to make it out, but I'm glad I'm here now. And as I told a bunch of people, I love when the Air Force lets me take my work home with me. So
that's got. I mean, I'm not exaggerating here. That's got to be just an amazing
absolutely
feeling. It would be akin to, we talk about athletes in sports all the time, but coming home and playing in front of your home crowd. This is
for sure.
This is your job.
Yep.
Is your family out here, I'm sure?
Yep, my family will come out this afternoon, and looking forward to showing them the jet.
So, Browns fan, being from around here, you local?
I'm a big Cincinnati Bearcats fan. I love my college football, so happy that's starting back up today. But I will root for the Browns just because, hometown team.
Did Ryan put you up to that?
No, he didn't.
Ryan behind the camera here, he's wearing his Bearcats hat. So I said, is he a Browns fan? And he said, hey, I'm a Bearcats guy through and through. All right, is Desmond Ridder going to take the leap this year in the NFL, we think, the quarterback?
I don't know. He shined in college, but hasn't had that opportunity yet. So
I wish Luke Fickell, as a Buckeye, and I was actually at Ohio State in the mid-'90s when, him and Vrabel and Fickell. So I'm an old man, obviously. But I can remember him as a player and then watching him evolve into the coach he is now. Now, unfortunately, at Wisconsin. I say unfortunately because I think he's going to do exactly at Wisconsin what he did at Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly.
But that had to be a tough loss for you.
It was, but I respect the decision. I think that, his ultimate goal is to get back to Ohio State one day, and if Wisconsin's that platform for him, then so be it. But loved having him at Cincinnati. The stadium was electric when he was there, so definitely wish him all the best for sure.
So you're still a young man yourself, and you said this is your first air show here in Cleveland that you've been able to be a part of. What's your ultimate goal? What do you want to do here?
I want to keep flying that thing as long as the Air Force will let me, and we'll see what the next journey is. But I love flying. For me, the bug is traveling. I love being able to travel. So taking off out of the United States in that thing, flying halfway around the world without needing gas and ending up in a country that you get to explore and experience that culture. That's what keeps me getting out of bed every morning.
So like we talk about, there's so many pilots and fighter pilots we've interviewed here today, and not anybody they don't just let anybody fly, even if you are licensed. So how many people like yourself are actually given clearance to fly that C5M Super Galaxy?
So there's about 40 nationwide. Go through several processes. You have to get picked up for pilot training. You have to graduate pilot training. And then towards the end of pilot training, you get an assignment that needs the Air Force. Basically, they'll come out with a list. You put your wish list down, and then if you get picked up, that's going to be your airplane. Same with any of these jets out here. So the 130s and the 17s, same thing.
So was there a need for that, or that was on your priority?
That was my number one choice, and I got it, luckily. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
That is good stuff. Talking to Alec Dawson, hails from Concord, Northeast Ohio guy, and this is his first Cleveland Air Show as a part of the Air Show, obviously, and flying the C5M Super Galaxy. So go ahead, and we were talking a little bit about this off the air, and I know you talked about it at the very beginning. This thing, like what is its missions as far as when it's actually in use? What exactly is it doing? Its main priority?
So we're a strategic airlift asset. So what that means is a lot of cargo a long way. As you get down the line, C-17 and then the 130, they're what's referred to as tactical. So short intra-theater operations. Our mission is basically to take as much cargo as we can and get it into theater, and then it's distributed in kind of a hub and spoke method to smaller aircraft out to like your forward bases. So we've got 36 pallet positions. We can take up to 2 M1 Abrams tanks. So we can fit a lot of stuff in there.
So when and forgive me if this is a dumb question, disaster relief.
So we play a big role in that. C-17's kind of the poster child for that, but when they need more equipment, more supplies, they'll call us. I know recently with some of the hurricanes in years past, we've had a big role with that. Same thing with fire evacuations and stuff like that out in California. So it's definitely a unique mission set that we're able to bring to the fight.
Alec, is there one thing you're looking forward to more than any here this weekend, or is it just kind of the totality?
I've got a couple Guardians tickets, but while I'm here, I love watching the Thunderbirds. There's nothing like it. So
now, see, I've always and I've talked to a few guys that when you're playing, and the air show is going on. Like, I mean, anybody, I don't care. And I said this all this week. I mean, whether you're 8 or 80 years old or whatever you do, there's something for everyone. But a professional athlete, it's kind of, guys are all wired the same, so they love it as much as anybody.
Absolutely.
But what's interesting is, I've talked to some where they're like, oh boy, I can feel it, I can see it's coming, I can, and they're trying to focus on that. You can appreciate that if you're at the game.
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you guys know that's going to happen before, like while the show's going on, that, hey, there's a game, or is it just that's part of the...
I mean, if you've seen it done before, you kind of have an idea, but, as far as, like, what we do every day, we take our mission planning very seriously, kind of like how a batter does his batting practice before the game, and make sure we're all on the same sheet of music, and then go out and execute, So
after this concludes on Labor Day, are you going to get some time at home to rest, maybe catch the Browns and the Bengals, or are you off? And
we're scheduled to leave on Tuesday, but between the show and the games, I'll hop back and forth and visit my dad. So it's always nice coming home and seeing family.
That's awesome. Alec, we really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your service. And, man, this is, I would say we saved the best for last. It's awesome. I had no idea that you're from this area. You made a lot of people proud, and I'm sure going to enjoy yourself all this weekend. And we
appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
All right. That is, again, Alec Dawson joining us. Yeah, that monstrosity behind us is known as the C5M Super Galaxy. He can fly it. Not just sit in it. He can fly. There's only about 40 people in the entire world that can do it. He's one of them. And we're certainly very proud of him. All right. We will, I'll tell you what, Bohm, I think we're just about ready to wrap things up, because you're starting to hear the engine starting to go, and this thing's starting to take off and really do what it's supposed to do. So it's been a great couple of hours. It's going to be an incredible weekend here at Burke Lakefront Airport. Again, the weather, you can't ask for much better. Low 80s, and supposed to be that way the entire weekend. It'll conclude on Monday. But, folks, this is the place to be. And, again, whether you're 8 years old, you're 80 years old, it's awesome stuff. We appreciate being a part of it. Thanks to the airport commissioner and all those good people, and, of course, all of those affiliated with the air show. I'm Mike Chico Bormann. Thanks to Ryan and Nick Bedone and Ken Miles and Bohm and everybody that made this thing happen. Got to say thanks to Steph as well, who was able to line up everybody for us. This is just awesome, being able to do this. We appreciated bringing it to you. We'll be back with you again on Tuesday. Again, the Chico Bormann Show. More to come. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend from all of us here at the Big Play Sports Network.